We're back for day 11 of the Commonwealth versus Karen Read. The Commonwealth has accused Karen Read of striking her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe, with her car after a night of drinking and leaving him in the snow to die. The defense is saying, as they said in their opening statement, that Karen Read was framed and this is all a cover-up. We ended the day with the testimony of Julie Nagel. She had just finished cross-examination. We have not gotten to redirect yet, but we also had testimony from Sarah. Sarah and Julie arrived together at 34 Fairview to celebrate their friend Brian Albert Jr.'s birthday, and then they left together with Jen McCabe. I thought the testimony of Sarah, who is an RN, gave us the best timeline that we've seen so far. I found her testimony to be very neutral and very credible. Just, I saw this, I was here, I did this person went there, I did that. She said they left sometime after 2 a.m. and left with Jen and Matt McCabe, who dropped them off at home. Then we got into the testimony of Julie Nagel. Remember, Brian Albert Jr. had said that he was looking outside because Julie Nagel was talking to her brother. And that's when he saw a dark colored SUV outside the house. Julie Nagel testified that she saw a dark color SUV outside the house near the mailbox, then pull up and stop, then pull up and stop again near the flagpole before she went outside to talk to her brother. And that SUV was gone by the time her brother got there and she went outside to talk to him. Nobody asked her what drew her attention outside or why she was looking out the window. She had texted her brother sometime around 12:15, she said, to come and pick her up. Nobody asked her why she changed her mind to not leave with her brother when he came to pick her up. At some point, it seems that Jen McCabe said something to Sarah and Julie along the lines of, "We'll give you a ride home." But if she's ready to go at 12:15 and she's been there since 6 p.m. and she's ready to go, why stay? They didn't end up leaving till right around 2 a.m. Why didn't she leave with her brother? And that's not been clarified. But that's not the main point of her testimony, because she is testifying that as they were leaving the residence, she was on the driver's side of the car talking to Julie, who was on the passenger side. And she saw through the passenger side window what she described as a black blob on the lawn near the flagpole. The prosecutor, Lally, asked her, "Can you say how big the blob was or how long the blob was?" And she said 5 to 6 feet. On cross-examination, it came up that she has never said that before to anyone. And it seems that she never said to anyone that she saw something on the lawn that night around 2 o'clock in the morning. And that the next day when she put, quote, 2 and 2 together, she seemingly never said anything to anyone then and wasn't interviewed by Trooper Proctor until October 2022, but didn't say anything to anyone after putting 2 and 2 together. We have not gotten to redirect yet, so she's not had an opportunity to explain, but I think the point was made that she never made that statement to anyone, even though the next morning she would have known. And the defense asked, it was stricken from the record, but sometimes when it's out of the horse, there's not much the court can do about it. The defense asked, you weren't interviewed until after the defense said publicly that no one in the house saw a body on the lawn. And it was after that she was interviewed, and after that she made that statement, which is going to leave the jurors probably with the same question it leaves me. The next morning, when you hear about your good friend's parents having a dead police officer on the lawn, and not just a dead police officer, but someone who this town seemed to have respect for. And I say seemed because this investigation makes me ask questions. But most of the people in the town who said they didn't know John O'Keefe had heard of him and respected that he took in his niece and nephew, knew the story about his sister passing away from cancer and then her husband dying 2 weeks later from a heart attack. This community knew John O'Keefe's story, and it seems held him in high regard and with respect, and valued the way he valued his family. But then when she put 2 and 2 together, No, she doesn't say anything in the investigation of what happened to him. It's a very interesting cross-examination, but there's more though. Brian Albert Jr. calls his aunt, Jen McCabe, JJ, and so does this witness. JJ asked this witness for screenshots of her conversation between this witness and her brother the night to early morning of January 28th to January 29th. I think now we have heard Jen McCabe's name in this trial more than Karen Read. Jen McCabe is the one who's supposed to have been Googling how long to die in the snow. House, H-O-S. And Jen McCabe is asking this witness to send screenshots of her texts back and forth between her and her brother. But it seems those were never turned over to law enforcement and no one ever asked her for them. What in the world is Jen McCabe doing? Jen McCabe's calling her sister at the early morning hours. Her sister said she never answered it, but the phone shows answered. Jen McCabe was calling Julie Albert, her best friend, at 5:55 in the morning. But Julie says she never called her back. Jen McCabe was one of the first people back at the Albert residence the next morning. Jen McCabe was with Karen Read when they were at 34 Fairview on the lawn when John O'Keefe was found. It seems that it was Jen McCabe, the one that was talking with Karen Read when Karen Read was looking at her saying, I hit him. That's the testimony of Katie McLaughlin, is that Karen Read was not talking to Katie McLaughlin, but was talking to one of the other women. The EMS personnel did not identify the women on the lawn, but we know it was Carrie Roberts and Jen McCabe. And then Jen McCabe went into 34 Fairview and woke everyone up. Both Alberts described Jen McCabe as distraught, hysterical. Law enforcement and EMS described everyone but Karen Read as calm. What in the world is going on? And why weren't any of the individuals that were in 34 Fairview during the time period that the prosecution seems to believe that John O'Keefe ended up on the lawn, why were none of them interviewed? Some of them for months, some of them not until last week. So at the end of day 11, we know what everyone was drinking except for Karen Read. We know that it was snowing. And now we know that there was an SUV that 2 people saw. But there are a lot of questions that remain. For deep dives into the stories that I covered here, you can find them on my YouTube channel at The Emily D. Baker.